My name is Clara Bennett, and I'm 32 years old. In my family, I've always been the one who keeps the world from falling apart. It's the small things that define me. Balancing budgets at my job in a busy medical office, making sure bills get paid on time, keeping receipts neatly color-coded by month. Grocery shopping isn't glamorous for me. I grab the essentials first: eggs, milk, rice, coffee, so I don't get lost in buying artisanal nonsense I don't need. Numbers don't scare me. What scares me is the quiet after someone asks for help and everyone silently assumes I'll handle it. That Sunday night, my mom's kitchen smelled like dish soap and overcooked chicken, the kind of smell that my brain files under responsibility. I was hauling an extra folding table into the dining room for my cousin's birthday party when I saw my younger sister, Tori, leaning casually against the counter. Her jacket glimmered like a disco ball under the kitchen lights. She was scrolling on her phone, both thumbs flying, with zero intention of lifting a finger to help. "Don't forget the rent transfer, accountant girl," she smirked. I forced a small smile. "Tori, please, don't call me that." Dad chuckled from across the room, shaking his head as if this were part of some family comedy skit. "Come on, Clara, lighten up. You're basically our sponsor." "Sponsor?" I muttered under my breath, like my name was printed across their jerseys or something. Mom slid a tray into the oven. "Your sister's moving into a better apartment next month. Safer neighborhood. She can't do it alone." Her voice was soft, almost gentle, but the kind of gentle that meant the decision had already been made. "We've talked about this," I said softly, hoping it would stick this time. "I'm not covering another security deposit." Finally, Tori looked up, rolling her eyes in that dramatic way she always does, even at 28. "You said that last time, and then you paid. Don't start your whole act again," she said. I kept my tone quiet, measured. "I'm not making you do anything." Aunt Sheila popped her head in, looking for a fork. She sensed the tension immediately, clicked her tongue at me, and left as if I was the unreasonable one. No one asked if I could afford it. No one asked if I wanted to. Dad stepped closer. "Family helps family. We didn't raise you to be selfish." That word, selfish, landed right where I was already sore. I stacked paper plates just to keep my hands moving, my mind whirling with numbers. Utilities, rent, groceries, insurance, all under my name. I thought staying quiet would calm the storm. It never did. Mom turned, dish towel in hand. "Enough, Clara. You'll handle the deposit. Tori, say thank you." I stared at my sister. The way she said thank you wasn't gratitude. It was a formality, like I was not a person with limits, just an extension of her checking account. My phone buzzed on the counter. The family group chat, full of memes and emojis. I silenced it, set the folding table, wished my cousin a happy birthday, hugged kids I barely knew, and slipped out before dessert. Outside, the air was damp and heavy. I sat in my car, hands gripping the wheel, forehead resting against the leather. My breath fogged the dash as my dad's words echoed: "Sponsor, you'll figure it out." And Tori's, "Don't make me beg." Noah's name lit up on my phone. He's been my boyfriend for almost a year, the one who quietly calls out my family's version of love for what it is. "Chaos scale 1 to 10? I asked. 8 and climbing, I typed. "Proud of you either way." I didn't start the car. I just sat there, the invisible pressure pressing down on me. Back in my apartment, everything was arranged exactly how I liked it. Shoes aligned, receipts sorted, cat's food scooped, sky outside painted a perfect shade of blue. Order was my oxygen. I fed the cat, opened my laptop, and stared at the spreadsheet of auto-pay accounts and temporary transfers. Then came the email. Landlord renewal check-in. CC, Clara Bennett at work email. I froze. My dad's voice, my mom's, Tori's, all blending into a single command. Sponsor. I could feel the weight of years of generosity crumple into one cold click of a send button. My hands moved almost automatically, typing, "Of course. I'll cancel my direct deposits first thing." The message hit the group chat like glass shattering. Immediately, a flood followed. "What does that mean?" my dad asked. My heart steadied. I opened my notes app, scrolled through my color-coded list, and took a clear photo of every expense I had covered. Hit send. For the first time in months, I didn't flinch. The cat curled up beside me, indifferent to the storm I'd just unleashed. By morning, my inbox looked like a graveyard of unpaid kindness, late fees, subscriptions, statements, all my name, but none my consent. I arrived at work pretending to enter payroll details while colleagues chatted about weekend brunches. My phone buzzed again. Family group chat, lighting up like fireworks after a funeral. "Mom, what is all this, Clara? Are you punishing us?" Tori, "You're disgusting, sick." Dad, "Money isn't family." I paused, then typed carefully. "Money is exactly what you want from me. The rest you mock. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm honoring your request to have space." Silence followed. Then the flood. Every message, a break in the wall I'd been building. I didn't respond again. Instead, I began forwarding confirmations of rent termination, utility changes, and account closures. By the time I finished, my coffee had gone cold, but the quiet inside me was loud enough to drown out guilt. Then Uncle Rick texted, "I'm here with them. I'll make sure the apartment's cleared. I'll return anything under your name." Something released in my chest. Rick wasn't perfect, but he was fair. That night, Noah called. I let it ring twice before answering, afraid my voice would betray the exhaustion I'd been wearing like a heavy coat. "Hey," he said softly, "you sound like you're standing on the edge." "Maybe I am," I admitted. Half laugh, half sigh, but I'm learning how to stop giving people the rope to pull me back. He didn't have to say he was proud. His silence was enough. By morning, my family's messages were relentless. Mom, Tori, Dad, each one trying to force me back into a system I'd already decided to leave. Then another text came through from an unknown number. "Clara, are you happy? You've crossed the line." I stared at the phone. I had no idea who it was or how deep this storm was about to get. Subscribe for more stories like this. The next few days felt like walking through a storm with no umbrella. My phone buzzed constantly. Tori left voicemail after voicemail, frantic texts dripping with guilt trips and veiled threats. "Answer me, Clara, or I'm coming over. You're destroying this family." I didn't respond, not once. It wasn't cruelty, it wasn't revenge, it was survival. Every line of communication they threw at me was a test, a tug on the rope I had finally learned to hold loosely. I let it slide past like water over stone. By mid-afternoon, a package arrived at my door, Uncle Rick's handwriting on the label. I carried it inside cautiously, half expecting some trap disguised as generosity. Inside were 3 smaller boxes, all unopened with my own handwriting on the tape. A blender I brought my mom 2 Christmases ago, towels still in plastic, a Wi-Fi router from my dad, unused. Each item was a quiet reminder of a truth I'd long ignored. I'd been solving problems that no one else cared to fix. Rick texted after dropping them off. "Hope they remind you what's yours. Proud of you." For a long time, I just stared at the boxes. They were like tombstones for misplaced kindness, stacked neatly in the middle of my living room. I hadn't realized how heavy the weight of constant giving could be until I set it down and walked away. That night, Noah came over. No grand speeches, no advice, just a paper bag of takeout and a six-pack of ginger ale. He kicked off his shoes, sank into the couch, and asked softly, "Long day?" "The longest year," I admitted, half smiling. We ate in silence, letting the city hum filter through the open window. He handed me a container of fried rice. "Eat before you start analyzing." I looked at him, understanding what he meant without words. I said, "You know me too well." "Yeah," he replied, "and I know you think cutting them off means you'll stop caring, but caring isn't the same as funding." The truth hit me like a deep exhale. I'd been pouring everything I had into a family that measured love by how much I spent. And now, for the first time, I realized that choosing boundaries didn't make me heartless. It made me human. Over the next 24 hours, I systematically untangled my life from theirs. Step 1, landlord. I sent a polite email ending automatic deposit agreements, CCing my parents and Uncle Rick. Step 2, utilities. Payment methods removed, confirmation emails in my inbox. Step 3, phone plan. 4 lines, each a tether I had carried without realizing it. I called the carrier, navigated their automated system, and finally spoke to a representative. "May I ask why you're removing your card?" she asked. I could have said, "Because my family weaponized guilt until I mistook it for love." Instead, I simply said, "Just cleaning up shared accounts." The line went silent. The weight of unspoken truths lingered there, but I didn't flinch. By the end of the day, car insurance was unlinked, streaming bundles canceled, grocery deliveries returned to my account. My inbox flooded with confirmations, each one feeling like oxygen for the first time in years. And then, Tori struck again. Text after text, voicemail after voicemail. "You're destroying this family. Answer me now." I didn't listen. I didn't respond. I let her words fall like autumn leaves, beautiful, harmless, and detached. At 5:10 p.m., another delivery arrived. Boxes labeled under Uncle Rick's name. My items, finally out of the chaos of my parents' apartment. I stared at them, stacked like evidence of my generosity, and realized something. I wasn't abandoning them. I was reclaiming myself. That night, I called Noah. "Hey," he said softly, "still holding your line?" "I am," I whispered. "That's enough," he said. Then after a pause, "By the way, Ava reached out to me." Ava, Noah's ex. She had a knack for stirring trouble. I felt a sharp pulse of irritation, but I didn't reply. Her timing was no accident. She thrived on chaos. I didn't. I hung up and felt a strange calm. For the first time in weeks, the noise of their expectations wasn't pressing in on me. I could breathe. But the storm wasn't over. It evolved. By the end of the week, the family group chat had become a courtroom without a judge. Notifications piled up like debris after a flood. "Mom, we can't believe you'd humiliate us like this." "Tori, you've lost it." "Clara, you need help." "Dad, family doesn't keep score." I'd stopped trying to climb that wall. I responded once, carefully. "I'm not keeping score. I'm closing accounts. There's a difference." Anger poured back at me, faster and louder than before. Screenshots of my meticulously organized spreadsheet somehow made their way to cousins, aunts, and even distant relatives. Everyone had an opinion. Pity dressed up as morality. "You're abandoning them. You embarrassed the family. You'll regret this." I didn't answer. I just began documenting the truth privately. Every accusation met with facts, every claim countered with proof. I was no longer just reacting, I was reclaiming clarity. One evening, a private message from June, my cousin, came through. She had watched silently all this time, observing, waiting. "Hey, I left the family chat. It's ugly in there. You're doing the right thing." I typed back quickly, my fingers trembling slightly. "Thank you. It means a lot." "Just remember," she added, "you didn't start the fire. You just stopped fueling it." For the first time in weeks, someone wasn't demanding me to defend myself. They were seeing me. That night, I allowed myself a small indulgence. A movie, Chinese takeout, no guilt. Halfway through, my phone lit up again. Noah calling. "Still holding your line?" "I am," I whispered. "That's the first thing you've said that actually sounds like freedom," he said quietly. I smiled into the darkness. The next morning, Tori posted another photo. This time it was a screenshot of my spreadsheet captioned, "If your own sister itemizes love in a spreadsheet, maybe she never had a heart to begin with." Comments flooded in. Hundreds, some sympathetic, most sanctimonious. And there it was again. Ava's name among the likes. I shut the app. No more fuel. I had chosen peace. The days that followed were quieter, yet heavy with unspoken tension. My apartment felt like a sanctuary, but every notification ping brought the memory of their voices pressing in. I had muted group chats, blocked numbers, and let social media slip into a neutral zone. Silence, for the first time, wasn't empty. It was a shield. I spent mornings meticulously arranging small routines. Coffee brewed just right, emails sorted, the cat fed before I touched my phone. I had built a rhythm that reminded me I existed outside the web of demands they'd spun around me for years. Noah became a steady presence, not because he tried to fix my family, but because he held space for me to just be. We cooked together on Fridays, shared small laughs, and never discussed Tori or Mom unless I wanted to. I realized how rare it was to have someone witness your life without demanding anything in return. Then came the first real test of my resolve, a message from Mom. "Sunday dinner at Aunt Carol's. Come and apologize. We'll move forward as a family." Her words were polished, diplomatic, less like an invitation, more like a court summons. My chest tightened. Every instinct screamed old patterns, guilt, obligation, the pressure to fix. I paused, breathed, then typed slowly. "No, Mom. I love you, but I won't come to be shamed. If you want to talk, we can do it privately, without money involved." The reply came almost instantly. "You're choosing strangers over blood." My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then I typed firmly, "I'm choosing peace." Typing bubbles appeared, then disappeared. Silence. That silence wasn't emptiness. It was finality. No knocks on doors, no guilt trips disguised as love, just quiet. That evening I sat on the balcony with Noah. The city pulsed with normal life. Distant laughter, a train horn, someone closing a window. He nudged my shoulder gently. "You okay?" I smiled, finally letting it out. "Yeah, feels strange, like I'm missing the chaos." "That's just withdrawal," he said softly, laughing. "Peace has bad marketing." I looked at him, eyes steady. "You know what the hardest part is? Realizing that when they said family helps family, they meant you help us. And when I stopped, they called it betrayal." "And you still love them," he said quietly. "Yeah, I do." They love what you gave. You love who they were. We sat in silence after that, the good kind of silence, one that wasn't filled with expectations, lectures, or guilt. Days turned into weeks. A letter arrived in the mail, real paper, mom's handwriting on the envelope. Inside, a simple birthday card. No apology, no accountability, just a line written at the bottom. We hope one day you'll forgive yourself for what you've done. I folded it neatly, slid it into a drawer, and smiled. It didn't hurt, not anymore. Forgiveness wasn't theirs to give. It was mine. I had already chosen it the moment I stopped proving love with receipts and checks. That night, I made a small celebration of nothing. A candle lit, an old record playing, the cat receiving an extra treat. My apartment was alive, not with obligation, but with choice. For the first time in years, I wasn't living to fix, prove, or apologize. I was just living. I texted Uncle Rick a photo of the candlelight. "Thanks for standing by me." Almost instantly, he replied, "Always remember, boundaries aren't walls. They're doors you finally learned to lock." And that was it. A sentence that closed the book on years of invisible labor, guilt, and conditional love. I leaned back on the couch, phone face down, and whispered to the quiet, "Peace isn't the reward. It's the consequence of finally choosing myself." The cat purred beside me. The city breathed outside. Weeks later, life settled into a rhythm that felt foreign yet liberating. I no longer measured my worth by the chaos I could manage or the crises I could solve. My apartment, my cat, my routines, and Noah, these were the constants I could count on. Therapy helped too. Dr. Keene guided me to see that peace didn't have to be loud or dramatic. It could be quiet, contained, and fully yours. Smaller isn't less, she reminded me. It's just yours. Even social media became neutral territory. Tori and Mom continued posting filtered images and vague captions about betrayal and loyalty, but they no longer triggered panic or guilt. I had learned that boundaries weren't walls. They were instructions. Then one Sunday, a message came from June, my cousin. "Dinner next week. My treat. You deserve family that feeds you without asking for receipts." For the first time in my life, I realized that family could also be chosen. I smiled, exhaled, and whispered to myself, "Let the noise starve. I'm free now." The room was still, the air soft. It wasn't applause. It wasn't forgiveness. It was healing. Quiet. Real. By the end of the month, I didn't even notice the absence of midnight calls, guilt-laden texts, or invoices for love. Life had returned to a rhythm I hadn't remembered existed. Peace didn't feel like a reward. It felt like air, necessary and sustaining. And for the first time, I slept without the weight of expectation pressing down, without the need to justify my worth with my wallet or my energy. I was just Clara, alive, free, human. Sometimes the hardest battles aren't with strangers or enemies. They're with the people we love the most. And sometimes winning means stepping back, setting boundaries, and finally choosing yourself. Subscribe for more stories like this.